Captain Lee Daho walked through the metal corridors of Nexus Prime, his boots making soft sounds on the polished floor. The space station was huge, bigger than any human city. It floated in empty space between 3 different star systems, neutral ground where all the galaxy's species could meet safely. Lee had never felt so small in his life. The hallways were built for beings much larger than humans. Tall alien creatures walked past him, some with crystal skin that glowed softly, others covered in thick scales that looked like armor. Their eyes followed him as he passed. Some looked curious, others looked like they wanted to step on him. The human diplomatic vessel New Sol was docked at the station's outer ring, looking tiny next to the massive alien ships. Lee could see them through the transparent walls, ships the size of mountains, their hulls covered in weapons that could destroy planets. Each one belonged to the 3 great powers that ruled the galaxy. Admiral Kang Minji waited for him at the entrance to the council chamber. She was a small woman, but her uniform was perfect and her back was straight. Her face showed no fear, even though they both knew this meeting could decide if humanity lived or died. "Any word from Earth?" Lee asked quietly. "Fleet Admiral Kim is standing by," Minji replied. "But our entire fleet is only 200 ships. The aliens have thousands." Lee nodded. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago, when they finally invented faster-than-light travel. To the ancient alien empires, humans were babies playing with dangerous toys. The council chamber doors opened with a deep sound that Lee felt in his chest. The room inside was enormous, with a ceiling that disappeared into darkness above. 3 groups of aliens sat at curved tables that formed a triangle. Each group was from one of the great empires that controlled most of the galaxy. On the left sat the Velthera Confederation. They looked like living crystals, their bodies made of some clear material that changed colors as they moved. Their ships were perfect and beautiful, filled with technology that seemed like magic to human scientists. On the right was the Korthak Empire. These aliens were covered in thick black scales and stood nearly 3 meters tall. Their eyes glowed red in the chamber's dim light. They had conquered dozens of star systems through pure force, and their ships looked like weapons even when they were just flying through space. At the far end sat the Solani Republic, the oldest of the 3 powers. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large black eyes that seemed to see everything. Their empire had existed for over 10,000 years, long before humans had even learned to make fire. A small table sat in the center of the triangle. 2 chairs waited there for the human representatives. Lee and Minji walked across the vast floor, their footsteps echoing in the silence. Every alien eye in the room watched them. They sat down. Lee felt like a child at a table full of adults. The crystal being who led the Velthera delegation began to speak. Its voice sounded like music, but the words were cold. "Humans of Earth, you have been called here because your species has become a problem." Lee kept his face calm, but his heart was beating fast. "How have we become a problem?" The Korthak representative stood up. He was huge, nearly touching the ceiling. When he spoke, his voice was like thunder. "You expand too fast. You claim too many worlds. You take resources that belong to others." "We have colonized only 12 systems," Minji said. "Each one was empty when we arrived." The Solani delegate made a sound that might have been laughter. "Empty by your standards, perhaps. But every world in this galaxy belongs to someone. You simply lack the wisdom to see it." Lee felt anger growing in his chest, but he pushed it down. "What do you want from us?" The crystal alien's colors shifted to deep red. "You will abandon your outer colonies immediately. You will return to your home system and remain there. Your species needs time to learn its place in the galactic order." "And if we refuse?" Minji asked. All 3 alien representatives spoke at the same time, their voices mixing into a sound that made Lee's bones hurt. "Then you will be removed." The Korthak leader sat down heavily. "Your entire species numbers only 12 billion beings across 13 worlds. The 3 empires have over 1 trillion citizens and fleets that could turn your planets to dust. This is not a negotiation. It is a warning." Lee stood up slowly. "We need time to discuss this with our government." "You have 72 standard hours," the Velthara delegate said. "After that, our fleets will move whether you agree or not." As the meeting ended, Dr. Park Sun-ho, humanity's lead scientist studying alien cultures, approached Lee. The old man looked worried. "Captain, I need to show you something." They walked to a wall where ancient texts were displayed in glass cases. The writing was in the old Solani language, thousands of years old. Park pointed to one section with a shaking finger. This text mentioned something called the Silent Fleet, Park whispered. Ships that sleep between stars. The date on this tablet is older than any known civilization. Lee looked at the strange symbols. What does it mean? I don't know, Park admitted. But there are similar references in Velthara archives and even some Korthak war songs. Something about ancient ships that appear when the galaxy is in danger. Commander Yoon Ji-hai, their intelligence officer, appeared beside them. Her face was pale. Captain, I intercepted alien communications during the meeting. This ultimatum isn't really about our expansion. What do you mean? Minji asked. They're scared of us, Yoon said quietly. Our technology is advancing faster than any species in recorded history. 50 years ago, we couldn't even leave our own planet. Now we're building ships that can cross the galaxy in weeks. The aliens think we might become a threat to them. Lee felt cold. So they want to destroy us before we get too strong. That's exactly what they want, Yoon confirmed. This ultimatum is just an excuse. If we refuse, they have a reason to attack. If we agree, we're trapped in our own system until they decide what to do with us. The human delegation returned to their ship in silence. As the new Sol undocked from Nexus Prime, Lee watched the alien fleets through the viewscreen. Hundreds of massive warships floated in formation, their weapons powered down but ready. Each ship was larger and more advanced than anything humanity had ever built. Send a message to Earth, Lee told his communications officer. Tell Fleet Admiral Kim that we need to prepare for war. Sir, the officer said quietly. Our entire fleet against their thousands? We don't stand a chance. Lee stared out at the alien ships. Something Park had said bothered him. Ancient ships that sleep between stars, the Silent Fleet. Why would 3 different alien cultures all have legends about the same mysterious fleet? Maybe we don't stand a chance, Lee said finally. But humanity has survived worse odds before. The new Sol jumped to faster than light speed, racing back toward Earth. Behind them, the alien fleets began to move, following at a distance like predators stalking their prey. On Earth, alarms were already sounding in military headquarters around the world. Humanity had 72 hours to decide their fate. They could surrender and live as prisoners in their own solar system, or they could fight and probably die. But as the human delegation traveled home through the darkness between stars, none of them knew that their species had a secret that had been waiting in the cold and silence for thousands of years, just waiting for the right moment to wake up. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity was much older than anyone believed. And some secrets, when revealed, can change everything. Fleet Admiral Kim Tae-wan stood at the head of the long table in the emergency meeting room, deep beneath Earth's surface. The room was filled with the most important military leaders from every human world. Their faces were grim as they watched the holographic display showing alien fleet movements throughout the galaxy. The numbers were terrible. 3,000 alien warships were moving toward human space. Earth's entire military had only 200 ships, and most of those were small patrol vessels or cargo haulers with weapons attached. Against the combined might of 3 galactic empires, humanity looked like children with toy guns facing professional soldiers. The alien fleets will reach our outer colonies in 60 hours, reported General Cho Min-sik, head of military intelligence. Our defense stations can maybe slow them down for a few minutes. After that, he didn't need to finish the sentence. What about evacuation? Asked Commander Han Ji-soo from the Mars Defense Force. Impossible, Kim replied. We have 12 colonies with over 1 billion people total. Our transport ships can't move that many people in 60 hours. Most of our citizens will be trapped when the aliens arrive. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The alien empires had rules about dealing with primitive species. Sometimes they allowed them to survive as slaves or pets. Sometimes they didn't. Dr. Choi Yoon-soo sat quietly in the corner of the room. She was old, almost 90 years old, with white hair and tired eyes. For 30 years, she had run the Deep Space Research Division, studying strange signals and mysterious objects found in the dark spaces between stars. Most people thought her work was useless. Today, she was about to prove them wrong. Admiral Kim, she said softly. Kim turned to look at her. Dr. Choi, unless you have a secret fleet hidden somewhere, I don't think astronomy can help us right now. Dr. Choi stood up slowly, her old bones creaking. Actually, Admiral, that's exactly what I have. The room went completely quiet. Every person stared at the elderly scientist. What did you say? Kim asked. Dr. Choi walked to the front of the room and activated the holographic display. Instead of showing alien fleets, it now showed a map of human space with dozens of red dots marking strange locations. For 30 years, my team has been investigating unusual readings from the edges of our territory, she began. Massive metal objects that don't match any known technology. Energy signatures that shouldn't exist. Structures hidden in asteroid fields and dark nebulae. Major Lim Ji-hoon, a specialist in ancient history, stepped forward. Dr. Choi, are you talking about the artifacts we found on some of the colony worlds? The strange metal fragments and unknown alloys? Much more than fragments, Dr. Choi replied. She pressed a button, and the display showed images of ancient Earth artifacts. Stone carvings, old paintings, and pieces of metal that looked impossibly advanced for their age. These are cave paintings from France, 30,000 years old, she said, pointing to images of what looked like ships flying among stars. This is a metal tablet found in Egypt, covered in symbols that match no known ancient language. And this is a stone carving from Peru that shows humans building massive vessels in space. Captain Bae So-young of the Deep Space Survey ship Incheon raised her hand. Dr. Choi, I've been mapping the outer system for 5 years. I know every asteroid and piece of space junk out there. Do you know what this is? Dr. Choi asked, bringing up a new image. The screen showed what looked like an asteroid field in the Kuiper Belt, far beyond Pluto. But when the computer enhanced the image and removed the ice and rock covering, something incredible appeared underneath. It was a structure clearly artificial, bigger than any city on Earth. That's impossible, Captain Bae whispered. I've scanned that area dozens of times. It's just asteroids. The camouflage is perfect, Dr. Choi explained. Whatever built this wanted it to look like natural space debris. But our deep scanning equipment finally saw through the disguise last month. It's a space dock, Captain Bae. And it's not empty. Engineer Ha Min-ho, who designed most of humanity's current starships, was staring at the images with his mouth open. The power requirements to hide something that big? It's impossible with any technology we know. That's because we didn't build it, Dr. Choi said quietly. At least not the humanity we know today. She pressed another button. The display now showed underwater images from Earth's Pacific Ocean, taken by deep-sea research submarines. Far below the surface, where the pressure would crush any normal structure, sat what looked like a massive building made of the same unknown metal found in the ancient artifacts. There are 12 of these facilities, Dr. Choi continued, one beneath each of our major colonies. They're connected by what appear to be quantum communication channels that operate faster than light. When we tried to scan them more closely, they responded. Responded how? Admiral Kim asked. Dr. Choi's hands were shaking now. They activated, Admiral. The moment our scanning equipment touched them, they came online. Power systems that have been dormant for thousands of years started working perfectly, and they're scanning us back. Commander Shin Dong-wook, who commanded Earth's Underwater Research Division, stepped forward. Ma'am, are you saying there are alien bases on our worlds that we never noticed? Not alien, Commander, Dr. Choi replied. Human. The genetic scanners in these facilities recognize human DNA patterns. But they're looking for something specific, something in our genetic code that matches whatever they were built to find. The room erupted in confused voices. Everyone was talking at once, asking questions, demanding explanations. Admiral Kim raised his hand for silence. Dr. Choi, what exactly are you telling us? The old scientist took a deep breath. I'm telling you that humanity has been in space before, Admiral. Long ago, perhaps tens of thousands of years ago, our species built technology that makes current galactic civilization look primitive. Then something happened. Some disaster or catastrophe that forced us to start over from the beginning. Major Lim Ji-hoon was nodding slowly. The myths and legends from every human culture mention a golden age when people could fly among the stars. We always thought they were just stories. They weren't stories, Dr. Choi said. They were memories. Distant racial memories of what we once were. Captain Oh Hee-jin, who commanded the lunar mining operations, was studying the display carefully. Dr. Choi, if these facilities are real, and if they're responding to human presence, can we access them? We already have, Dr. Choi replied. 3 days ago, my team activated the facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. What we found inside. She paused, looking around the room at all the military officers who had been preparing to fight an impossible war. What did you find? Admiral Kim asked quietly. Ships, Admiral. Hundreds of them. Each one larger and more advanced than anything the alien empires have ever built. And they've been waiting for us. The silence in the room was complete. Outside, warning sirens continued to wail as Earth's defenses prepared for an attack they couldn't possibly win. But deep beneath the ocean, and in hidden facilities throughout human space, ancient machines were waking up after a sleep of thousands of years. Chief Engineer Nam Ji-won, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. Dr. Choi, if what you're saying is true, if we really do have access to this ancient technology, why didn't our ancestors leave us instructions? Some way to find it when we needed it? Dr. Choi smiled for the first time since the meeting began. Who says they didn't, Engineer Nam? The facilities only respond to humans in times of great danger. They've been waiting for exactly this moment, when our species faces extinction, to reveal themselves. Admiral Kim stood up slowly. How long do we need to access these ships? The teams are standing by at all 12 locations, Dr. Choi replied. If you give the order, we can begin the awakening process immediately. Kim looked around the room at his officers. They were scared, confused, and barely able to believe what they were hearing. But they were also hopeful for the first time since the alien ultimatum arrived. Do it, he said quietly. Wake them up. Dr. Choi pressed a final button on her control panel. Across human space, signals went out to hidden facilities that had waited in silence for millennia. Deep beneath oceans and inside hollow moons, ancient systems began to respond. Humanity was about to remember who they really were. Commander Shin Dong-wook stood on the bow deck of the deep-sea vessel Thunderfish as it descended. Through the dark waters of the Pacific Ocean, the pressure outside was enough to crush a normal submarine into scrap metal, but the Thunderfish was built for the deepest parts of Earth's oceans. Depth 4,000 meters and descending, reported Lieutenant Kim Salmon from the navigation station. The structure should be visible on sonar in 30 seconds. Shin watched the sonar display with nervous excitement. Somewhere below them, hidden beneath miles of water and sediment, lay a facility that had been built before human civilization began. If Dr. Choi was right, it contained technology that could save their species. Contact, Kim announced suddenly. Sonar shows a structure directly below us. It's huge, sir. The sonar can't find the edges. The Thunderfish's lights penetrated the darkness as they approached the ocean floor. What they saw made everyone on the bridge stop breathing. Rising from the sea bottom like an underwater mountain was a structure made of smooth black metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its surface, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. My God, whispered Dr. Park Ji-won, the team's technology specialist. It's beautiful. As their submarine drew closer, the symbols on the structure began to glow brighter. A section of the massive wall slid open without making any sound, revealing a chamber filled with soft blue light. Water didn't flow into the opening. Some kind of force field kept the ocean out. Sir, Kim said quietly. The structure is scanning us. I can feel it in my bones. What kind of scan? Shin asked. Biological, I think. It's reading our DNA. Suddenly a voice spoke in perfect Korean coming from speakers that didn't exist moments before. Welcome, children of Earth. Please dock your vessel in the chamber. You are expected. Shin felt chills run down his spine. The voice was clearly artificial, but it sounded warm and familiar, like a parent welcoming a child home after a long journey. The Thunderfish moved slowly into the chamber. The moment they were inside, the opening sealed behind them. The water around their submarine drained away, leaving them in a dry dock that had materialized from nowhere. Meanwhile, on the moon, Captain Oh Hyejin was having her own incredible experience. The lunar facility was hidden beneath what everyone thought was just another crater on the moon's far side. When her team activated the ancient systems, the entire crater floor had opened like a flower, revealing an underground hangar that stretched for kilometers in every direction. This is impossible, said engineer Lee Jinwoo, as they walked through the facility in environmental suits. This hangar is bigger than some of our cities. How did we never notice it? Look at the ceiling, Oh replied, pointing upward with her helmet light. Above them, the ceiling showed a perfect image of the lunar surface, complete with craters and rocks. The camouflage was so complete that it fooled even close-range scanners. But it wasn't the size of the hangar that took their breath away. It was what the hangar contained. Ships, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, arranged in perfect rows that disappeared into the darkness. Each ship was sleek and dark, their hulls made of the same material as the facilities. They looked deadly and beautiful at the same time, like sleeping predators waiting to wake up. "These aren't human ships," Lee whispered. "Humans have never built anything like this." O walked up to the nearest vessel and placed her gloved hand on its hull. The moment she touched it, the ship responded. Lights began to flow along its surface like liquid electricity. A ramp extended from the ship's belly, and warm air flowed out of the opening. A voice spoke in her helmet radio, calm and welcoming. "Welcome aboard, Captain O'Hegan. I am the ship's artificial intelligence. I have been waiting for you." "Waiting for me specifically?" O asked in amazement. "Waiting for someone like you, a human capable of commanding this vessel in the defense of our species. Please come aboard. There is much to show you." Back on Earth, Chief Engineer Nam Jiwon was having similar experiences at the Mars facility. The underground complex there contained not just ships, but manufacturing equipment that could build more ships if needed. The technology was so advanced that it seemed like magic. "These machines can reshape matter at the atomic level," Nam reported to Admiral Kim over the quantum communication link. "They can turn raw rock into hull metal that's stronger than anything we've ever created. And the power source?" He paused, still trying to understand what he was seeing. "What about the power source?" Kim asked. "It's a contained singularity, Admiral. A tiny black hole held in some kind of force field. Each ship has one. They generate more power than our entire planetary grid." At the facility beneath Earth's ocean, Commander Shin had made an even more startling discovery. As he walked through the corridors of the underwater base, he found rooms filled with records and data files that told the story of humanity's forgotten past. "Dr. Choi, you need to see this," Shin said over the communication link. He was standing in a chamber filled with holographic displays showing star maps, ship designs, and historical records. "What did you find, Commander?" "The complete history of ancient humanity. According to these records, our species achieved spaceflight over 50,000 years ago. We built an empire that spanned the entire galaxy. We had technology that makes the current alien civilizations look primitive." "What happened to them?" Dr. Choi asked. Shin studied the flowing text and images on the holographic displays. "There was a war, not with aliens, but with something else. The records call it the Great Silence. Something came from outside the galaxy. Something that could destroy entire star systems. Ancient humanity fought it for thousands of years. Did they win? I don't know. The records become unclear near the end. But before the final battle, they sent their most advanced ships away from the fighting. They hid them in places where they would be safe, along with volunteers who agreed to have their memories erased and their technology hidden. Dr. Song Young-jae, the quantum physicist who had been studying the ship's technology, made a discovery that changed everything. She was examining the artificial intelligence system aboard one of the ships when she found something impossible. "Admiral Kim," she said over the communication link, her voice shaking with excitement and fear. "I know why these ships are so perfectly designed for humans to use." "Explain, Dr. Song." "The ships weren't built by ancient humans, sir. They were built by future humans. The technology includes temporal manipulation systems. These ships came from our own future, sent back in time to this era. The implications hit everyone at once. Ancient humanity hadn't just hidden these ships. They had used time travel to place them exactly when and where they would be needed most." Admiral Huang Soo-jin, who had been assigned to command the largest ship in the underwater facility, was standing on its bridge when the full truth became clear. The ship's artificial intelligence had awakened and was showing her tactical displays of the approaching alien fleets. "You were built to fight this specific battle," she said to the AI. "Yes, Admiral Huang. This moment, this threat to humanity, was foreseen by our builders. Everything has been prepared for this day. The enemy fleets approaching your world use technology that we have studied for thousands of years. We know their weaknesses. How many ships are there total? Across all 12 facilities, there are 1,500 vessels ready for immediate deployment. Each one is capable of defeating dozens of enemy ships. The technology gap between us and the approaching fleets is approximately 5,000 years. As the ancient ships came online across human space, their crews began to understand the magnitude of what they had inherited. These weren't just weapons. They were the final gift of a civilization that had faced extinction and chosen to ensure their descendants would never face the same fate. The ship's computers contained the complete knowledge of the ancient human empire. Star maps showing hidden routes through the galaxy, records of alien civilizations and their technologies, battle tactics that had been tested in wars spanning millennia. But most importantly, They contained a message from the people who had built them. Admiral Kim received the message simultaneously at all 12 facilities. It appeared as a hologram of a human woman who looked remarkably like modern humans, but with eyes that had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. "If you are watching this message," the woman said, "then our species faces extinction once again. We have given you the tools to prevent that extinction. Use them wisely. Remember that the greatest strength of humanity has never been our weapons or our technology. It has been our refusal to surrender, our determination to survive, and our willingness to protect those who cannot protect themselves." The message ended, but its meaning was clear. Humanity had been given a second chance, a gift from their own future. Now they had to prove they were worthy of it. With only 18 hours remaining before the alien fleets arrived, the awakening was complete. 1,500 ships that had slept between the stars for millennia were ready to fight again. The alien fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system like a moving wall of death. 2,000 warships spread across space in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of Earth's sun. Each ship was a masterpiece of destruction, built by civilizations that had conquered the galaxy for thousands of years. Grand Admiral Velthon of the Velthara Confederation stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crystal Majesty. Through the transparent walls of his ship, he could see the other alien fleets taking their positions. The Korthak Empire's black warships moved like hunting beasts, their weapon ports already glowing with contained energy. The ancient Solani Republic's vessels hung in space like silent judges, ready to pass sentence on humanity. "Any response from the humans?" asked Commander Zethkar, Velthon's second in command. "Nothing," Velthon replied. "Their deadline passed 3 hours ago. Perhaps they have finally accepted their fate." The alien fleets had expected to find human ships waiting to surrender, or perhaps a desperate defense around Earth. Instead, they found empty space. No human vessels were visible anywhere in the system. Even Earth's orbital defense stations appeared to be powered down. "This is too easy," muttered General Korvac from the Korthak flagship. His voice came through the communication link connecting all 3 fleet commanders. "Humans are known for their stubbornness. Why aren't they fighting?" "Because they are wise enough to know when they are beaten," replied Elder Solantai of the Solani Republic. "Their entire fleet could not defeat even one of our battle groups." But as the alien fleets moved deeper into the solar system, scanning for human resistance, they failed to notice 12 small shapes moving in the darkness between planets. The shapes were too small to be warships, too quiet to be detected by normal sensors, and they moved with a grace that seemed almost alive. Admiral Kim Taewon stood on the bridge of the ancient human flagship Eternal Vigil, watching the alien fleet approach on displays that showed him everything within 1,000 light years. The ship's artificial intelligence had been teaching him to use the ancient technology for the past 6 hours, and he was amazed by what humanity had once been capable of. "All ships report ready," announced Captain An Minjae from the Heavy Cruiser Forgotten Dawn. The 12 ships of the first assault group were spread throughout the solar system, invisible to alien sensors thanks to technology that bent space itself around them. "Remember," Kim said to his fleet commanders, "we're not here to destroy them all. We're here to send a message, show them that attacking humanity was a mistake they will never forget." The alien fleets continued their advance, confident in their overwhelming superiority. Grand Admiral Velthon was already planning how to divide the human colonies among the 3 empires when his scanning officer made a disturbing report. "Sir, I'm detecting quantum fluctuations throughout the system. Something is interfering with our sensors." "Explain," Velthon demanded. "It's like there are objects moving through space that our equipment can't see, but the gravitational effects suggest they're very large." Before Velthon could respond, a new voice spoke over the communication channels. It was calm, human, and completely unafraid. "Attention, alien fleets. This is Admiral Kim Taewon of the Human Defense Force. You have entered our territory with hostile intent. You have threatened our people and demanded our surrender. You wanted to see what humanity is capable of. You're about to find out." "Impossible," General Korvac snarled. "Our sensors show no human ships." "This is some kind of trick." "You're right," Kim replied. "Your sensors can't see us, but we can see you perfectly." Suddenly, 12 human ships materialized out of empty space, appearing directly within the alien formation. They had been there all along, invisible and silent, moving through the fleet like ghosts. The alien commanders stared in shock at the ships that had appeared among them. These weren't the crude human vessels they had expected. These ships were sleek and beautiful, their dark hulls seeming to absorb light itself. They moved with impossible grace, turning and accelerating in ways that violated everything the aliens knew about physics. Captain Park Jin-young commanded the destroyer Silent Thunder, one of the smaller ships in the human fleet. As his vessel materialized next to a massive Korthak battlecruiser, he could see the alien crew scrambling to respond to his sudden appearance. "Target their weapon systems," Park ordered. "Disable, don't destroy." The Silent Thunder's weapons fired, but they weren't like anything the aliens had ever seen. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, the human weapons seemed to reach directly into the enemy ship. The Korthak vessel's weapons simply stopped working, their energy systems disrupted at the molecular level. Throughout the alien fleet, the same thing was happening. Human ships appeared from nowhere and began systematically disabling enemy vessels with weapons that ignored shields and armor. The ancient human technology didn't destroy the alien ships, it simply made them helpless. Impossible. Grand Admiral Velthon shouted as his flagship's weapons went dead. "How are they doing this?" Commander Lee Solgi, commanding the stealth ship Whisper in Darkness, answered him. Her ship was so close to the Crystal Majesty that she could see alien crew members through their transparent hull, but their sensors still couldn't detect her. "Your technology is impressive," Lee said over the communication channel, "but you're fighting with tools while we're using magic." Major Cho Sunmi, monitoring the battle from the tactical station aboard Eternal Vigil, watched in amazement as the ancient human ships moved through the alien fleet like sharks through a school of fish. The enemy vessels built to conquer planets were helpless against technology they couldn't understand or counter. "Admiral," she reported, "the enemy is attempting to target us with their main weapons." "Any effect?" Kim asked. "None, sir. Their targeting systems can't lock onto us. It's like we don't exist in the same dimension as their weapons." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted only minutes. 2,000 alien warships, the combined might of 3 galactic empires, found themselves completely disabled by 12 human vessels that seemed to exist outside the normal rules of space combat. Captain Ryu Taiho, commanding the assault ship Breaking Dawn, watched as panic spread through the alien fleet. Ships were trying to retreat, but their engines had been disabled along with their weapons. They floated in space, helpless and confused. "This isn't possible," Elder Solentai transmitted from his disabled flagship. "Our civilizations have ruled the galaxy for millennia. How can a primitive species possess such technology?" Admiral Kim's response echoed across all communication channels, reaching every ship in both fleets. "Primitive? You call us primitive because we achieved spaceflight only 50 years ago, but you made a mistake. You assumed that 50 years ago was the first time humanity reached for the stars." Alien fleet commanders listened in growing horror as Kim continued. "We have been here longer than your empires have existed. We have forgotten more than you have ever learned. Long before your species crawled out of their homeworlds, humanity sailed between the stars. We built cities on worlds you haven't even discovered yet. We fought wars against enemies that would terrify your greatest warriors." "What happened to them?" Grand Admiral Velthon asked quietly. "They evolved," Kim replied. "They transcended physical existence and joined something greater. But before they left, they gave us a gift. They gave us the tools to protect ourselves and others from those who would threaten innocent life." Captain Bei Jinsu, commanding the battlecruiser Eternal Sentinel, moved his ship directly in front of the largest Korthak dreadnought. The alien vessel was 10 times larger than his ship, but it sat helpless in space while the human cruiser's weapons held it paralyzed. "You came here to destroy us," Kim continued. "You threatened our families, our children, our future. You thought we were weak because we seemed small, but you never asked the important question." "What question?" General Korvac asked. "You never asked why a species that achieved spaceflight only 50 years ago was expanding so quickly through the galaxy. You never wondered how we built ships that could travel faster than light when we barely understood the technology. You never questioned how we found and colonized the perfect worlds for our people so easily." The truth began to dawn on the alien commanders. The rapid human expansion, their quick mastery of galactic technology, their uncanny ability to find suitable worlds, it all made sense now. "We knew where to go because we had been there before," Kim said softly. "We knew how to build the ships because the knowledge was sleeping in our genetic memory. We expanded quickly because we were coming home. The alien fleets floated in silence, their mighty warships reduced to floating scrap by an enemy they had completely underestimated. They had come to crush a young species, but instead they had awakened something ancient and terrible. "Now you have a choice," Admiral Kim announced. "You can accept that humanity has returned to the galaxy as guardians and protectors, or you can continue to threaten innocent life and face the consequences. Choose wisely." 3 months after the battle that changed the galaxy, Ambassador Wu Kyung-soo walked through the corridors of the ancient human flagship Eternal Vigil. The ship had become the new meeting place for what was now called the Galactic Peace Council. Representatives from dozens of species traveled here to discuss trade, territorial disputes, and mutual defense agreements. The old way of doing things was over. The 3 great empires that had ruled through fear and military might now sat at the same table as smaller species they had previously ignored or oppressed. Everyone was equal under the protection of humanity's ancient fleet. Wu entered the main council chamber, a vast room that the ship's artificial intelligence had created specifically for diplomatic meetings. The chamber could adjust its atmosphere, gravity, and lighting to accommodate any species that needed to attend. Today it was filled with beings from across the galaxy, all waiting to hear humanity's latest announcement. Grand Admiral Velthon of the Velthara Confederation sat in a chair made of crystalline material that matched his body. His colors had changed from the aggressive reds and oranges he had displayed during the ultimatum to softer blues and greens. The defeat of his fleet had taught him humility. General Korovak of the Korthak Empire looked smaller somehow, though he was still the largest being in the room. His species had built their entire culture around military strength, and the easy defeat of their greatest fleet had shaken them to their core. But instead of anger, his eyes now showed curiosity and respect. Elder Salantai of the ancient Solani Republic studied the human ambassador with the interest of someone discovering a completely new form of life. His species had thought they were the oldest civilization in the galaxy, but the evidence of humanity's ancient past had forced them to reconsider everything they believed about galactic history. "Honored representatives," Wu began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's perfect acoustics. "I have been asked to share with you the results of our archaeological expeditions over the past 3 months. Since the battle, human teams had been exploring the hidden facilities throughout their territory, uncovering more evidence of their species' forgotten past. What they had found was both amazing and troubling. Dr. Park Sun-ho, now leading the joint human-alien research teams, stood up to present their findings. He activated a holographic display that showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy, with thousands of points of light scattered throughout. "These are the locations of ancient human outposts we have discovered so far," Park explained. "Our ancestors didn't just explore this galaxy. They lived in every sector, on worlds in every star system. The scope of their civilization was beyond anything we imagined." A representative from the small Talesian Republic, a species that had been enslaved by the Korthak Empire for centuries, raised her hand. "Dr. Park, what happened to this ancient civilization? Why did they disappear?" Park's expression grew serious. "We're still piecing together the complete story, but what we've learned is disturbing. The ancient humans didn't disappear by choice. They were forced to abandon their civilization to fight something that came from outside our galaxy." The chamber fell silent. The idea of a threat from beyond their galaxy was terrifying to species that had barely begun to explore their own corner of space. Captain Ryu Taiho, now commanding the exploration vessel New Discovery, stepped forward to continue the presentation. 3 weeks ago, our deep space sensors detected something approaching from the galactic rim. Whatever destroyed ancient humanity's civilization, it's coming back. Panicked voices filled the chamber as representatives from dozens of species began talking at once. The fear was understandable. If something had been powerful enough to defeat ancient humanity at the height of their technological advancement, what chance did the current galaxy have? Admiral Kim Tae-won entered the chamber, and the noise immediately stopped. Over the past 3 months, he had become the unofficial leader of galactic civilization, not through conquest, but through the respect he had earned by using humanity's power to protect others rather than dominate them. "The threat is real," Kim said simply. "Our long-range sensors show a fleet of unknown vessels approximately 50 years away at maximum speed. Based on the records we've found, this is the same enemy that forced ancient humanity to abandon their civilization. What can we do? Asked the Velthara representative, her crystalline body flickering with nervous energy. We can do what our ancestors couldn't, Kim replied. We can work together. He activated a new section of the holographic display showing ship designs and tactical formations. Ancient humanity faced this threat alone. They were powerful, but they were also isolated. They believed they could handle any problem by themselves. That belief almost led to the extinction of all life in this galaxy. Dr. Song Youngjae, the quantum physicist who had been studying the ancient technology, presented the next part of their plan. We've learned how to produce the advanced ships and weapons our ancestors used, but we're not going to repeat their mistakes. Instead of building a human fleet, we're going to build a galactic fleet. The implications of her words hit everyone at once. Humanity was offering to share their ancient technology with the species that had tried to destroy them just months earlier. The ship construction facilities hidden throughout human space can be modified to build vessels for any species, Song continued. Korthak ships with ancient human weapons, Velthara vessels with our defensive systems, Solani command ships with our sensor technology, every species contributing their unique strengths to a combined defense force. General Korvac stood up slowly, his massive frame towering over everyone else in the room. Why, he asked simply. Why would you trust us with this technology? Why would you arm the species that threatened your existence? Kim smiled. Because that's what it means to be human, General. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. We stand together against threats that none of us could face alone. That's not just what modern humanity believes, it's what ancient humanity died for. Over the following weeks, the galaxy transformed in ways no one could have imagined. The old empires dismantled their conquest fleets and began building exploration and defense vessels instead. Former enemies worked side by side in the ancient human shipyards, learning to combine their technologies in ways that made each ship stronger than any single species could have built alone. Captain O'Higgin commanded one of the new joint construction projects on the moon. Human engineers worked alongside Korthak metallurgists and Velthara energy specialists to build ships that incorporated the best technology from every civilization. It's amazing, reported engineer Li Jinwu as he watched alien and human workers collaborate on a new type of shield system. The Velthara energy manipulation techniques, combined with our ancient power cores, are producing defensive systems 3 times stronger than either technology alone. Commander Shin Dongwook was leading similar projects in the underwater facilities. His teams had discovered that the ocean bases were designed not just to hide ships, but to serve as research centers where different species could work together safely. The ancient humans planned for this, Shin reported to Admiral Kim. They knew that when the enemy returned, the galaxy would need to be united to survive. Every facility we've found is designed to accommodate multiple species working together. But the most important discovery came from Dr. Choi Yoon-soo, whose research into ancient records had started the whole adventure. Deep in the archives of the oldest facility, she found a message that changed everything. Admiral Kim, she said during an emergency council meeting, I found the final message from the ancient human leadership. It explains everything. The message appeared as a hologram of the same woman who had welcomed them to the ancient ships. But this recording was different. She looked tired, older, like someone who had seen too much war. If you are seeing this message, the ancient human leader said, then the enemy has returned as we feared they would. But do not despair. We did not abandon you. We became you. The chamber was completely silent as the message continued. The ancient humans you seek to understand were your own descendants, sent back through time to prepare the galaxy for this moment. The enemy you face is what drove humanity to develop time travel in the first place. This battle has been fought before, and it will be fought again, until we finally find a way to win permanently. The revelation was staggering. The ancient civilization hadn't been destroyed by the approaching enemy. They had been the survivors of a future war, sent back to give their past selves the tools needed to break a cycle of destruction that had repeated across time. The fleet approaching from the galactic rim, the message concluded, consists of beings from our own future who chose conquest over cooperation. They are what humanity becomes if we fail to learn the lessons of working together, Defeat them, and you save not just this galaxy, but all possible futures. As the message ended, representatives from across the galaxy sat in stunned silence. They weren't just fighting for their current civilization. They were fighting to determine what kind of species would inherit the universe. Admiral Kim stood up and looked around the chamber at beings who had been enemies just months before, and were now preparing to fight together against an